running at the optimal level. And the fact that the company itself decided to try to like tweak things around in order to make sure that they could actually sell those cars was in itself like very, I would say, immoral and unethical, and in this case recently is illegal. And this this leads to the second point, where it's going to the company overall. Due to these kind of situations that's been occurring for years, the company itself, eventually this leads to kind of like the trickle-down effect, where you have the executives making all these decisions, and they've been there for a long time. So eventually the people who are working underneath them, and eventually the whole company itself, kind of falls into this mindset of, okay, like these kind of like actions, these kind of like choices that the company is making is okay. And so you start having the company overall becoming compromised and making poor decisions, and eventually creating a bad environment, not only just for the consumers and for the community itself, but also creating a bad environment within the company itself. And in short, it's just pretty much stacking problems over problems after problems, pretty much onto the company itself, creating more issues. This will pretty much going into my summary about all the things that the problems that they have. As you noticed, one of the issues that I've been addressing a lot was the fact that the company hasn't been really focusing on trying to make the changes, and B, lots of bad management decisions and issues that they've been having. Those are the two areas I've been focusing on. And so I decided to actually, for my summary and my solutions, was to pretty much address those two areas the most. So yeah, going to the whole issue in regards to management, despite the fact that Volkswagen has been having a lot of bad and poor management issues that they've been facing, especially including in their leadership, one of the things that they definitely need to do is pretty much restructure their company and create some sort of accountability within them. I think that that's one of the main issues that they have, is pretty much like certain people are like, okay, in agreement of trying to figure out, trying to let certain things pass, and instead of actually having like groups saying, okay, like we need to actually work on things. This goes into the whole situation of the fact that they need to stop calculating the cost of fixing issues and comparing it to see whether or not that or paying the fine if they get caught is which one's going to be better. While like sure, like profit wise it's going to help you, that's just going to hurt the company's reputation, and it's not going to be a great way for a company to actually to continue on if it keeps trying to follow those kind of models. And this leads to the whole reevaluating the management and executive, including now some of the employees. But first off, definitely on the top area first to see who may need to be replaced, or who can be make the improvements to be able to change themselves, because the company itself, while it is a profitable business, they've been making a few poor choices, and if they don't actually like weed out the ones who are there who's been causing those problems, it's going to lead to a lot of situations like, I mean, like Wells Fargo had that situation as well just recently. So yeah, so they need to definitely set up a group in order to deal with that. Another thing that they need to do is they need to actually focus on improving themselves. They need to actually just realize the fact that like it's their company, especially Volkswagen itself, cannot just cater to just like one end. And even if they do, they need to be able to find ways to be able to entice the customers. And one of the things that I would definitely recommend that they do is to improve on and expand on their R&D department. Two things that they will have to focus on, of course, is improving and bettering their technology and the services that they have, and also trying to figure out what better ways that they could do to become more efficient and effective, so that way they could cut down on those costs instead of trying to use other methods that in sense harms everyone in general. So yes, definitely what they need to do is expand on new technology. Despite the fact that like they're not luxury cars, I mean BMW is on the higher scale level. And when I was talking about the windshield with the whole navigation display on the windshield, sure they might not have that, but I mean they need to up their game in order to actually find better ways to be able to cater to those kind of options, or at least have those options available. Another thing that they need to work on is, with the current consumers being very fuel efficient, they need to actually find more and better ways to be more fuel efficient with their automobiles. They currently have one electric car, and in itself that electric car, and compared to like all the other ones in the market, they don't really have great mileage other compared to the Tesla. I mean, in fact, still many of them are able to still have the capability to only travel somewhere between like 50 to 100 miles, and that in itself is not a long range. Tesla is, I think, the only one that's able to go over 200 to 300 miles, and that's one of the things that they should look into, with the consumers becoming more price conscious and also more environmentally conscious about their lifestyle and their choices. That could definitely be one area that they could focus on. And even if they just look into just hybrid technology in itself, that in itself would actually help them a lot. And that could also probably entice more people into their market. So yeah, the last thing though, that I believe that they should also still continue to look into, but they should not be focusing solely on that, is the acquisition of other companies. Volkswagen has several other companies that they've been focusing on, and that they've been actually that they've acquired and have been focusing and trying to work into those areas, into like specific like niches. Like example, if I remember correctly, it's the Ducati that they have. I mean, a lot of people know of Ducati. They make a lot of like the really nice Ducati. They make really nice motorcycles. I mean, it was in features in a few movies. They also have the high-end like Bentley, Lamborghinis, Porsche, Audi. Like they have a lot of like high-end cars as well. And sure, while they should keep those brands and focusing on the markets that they currently have, they need to actually definitely up the market that they have within Volkswagen, and be able to provide options for Volkswagen and try to like better the image, especially when the past few years Volkswagen's image has been taking a hit. And so I would definitely recommend that they look into acquiring other companies as well, and try to see if they can expand that way as well. That in a sense would be able to provide an entry into the market that they have, provide a stronger foundation for the region or new market group, or the existing group that they're in. It just solidifies their foundation and their presence in that area. And at the same time, it also would open up the Volkswagen brand itself to those consumers within that company as well. And so I feel like that will definitely be a benefit for them, and something that they should definitely look into. And yeah, so I mean, other than that, like the company itself is a great company. It's just the fact that there's a few issues that turn out to be fairly large that definitely needs to be fixed. And I believe the fact that if the company itself actually managed to address those, it could definitely take over General Motors. And if it actually starts going into the industry of like fuel efficiency and all those things, then it could definitely compete against Toyota, since I think Toyota's one of their most popular brands is of course the Prius. And that's one of the reasons why people buy from Toyota, making it one of the larger companies, because of the fact that like they've catered with the technology, and the services that they have is actually fairly top notch. And that's something that Volkswagen definitely needs to do. And hopefully with the improvements of the services, consumers like me would be able to have our cars having less issues, and hopefully we'll be able to see a new, better Volkswagen that actually is something that consumers like me are not ashamed of purchasing and being consumers of. I will admit that as a consumer, after the whole scandal happened, I am ashamed of being a Volkswagen driver, but at the same time, I'm just glad the fact that my car is still reliable, still works well, and is also a car that I'm still proud of myself. And it's just those kind of situations occur, but that's pretty much it though. Other than that, I just want to thank you guys all for hearing this, and sorry for running a little late. It looks like it's going over 30 minutes, but yeah, but other than that, thanks again for listening, and I want to say again, it was a pleasure being in this class with you guys, and I hope that you all have a wonderful Christmas weekend, and yeah, see you guys soon. Take care.